What's going on, guys? Long time no see. I'm so glad to be back on here talking to you and making a new video for you. Thank you so much for being on my channel, even though I have been absent for the past 3 or so weeks. Thank you for still being on the channel, still being subscribed and watching this video. I hope that the topic that we discussed today proves to be immensely helpful for you, as it has been the main key that has helped me get back on track in my mindset and get back on my feet, so to speak, when it comes to getting my mind under control. I've been going through a lot of internal battles in my mind, so to speak, and I have been just in a funky state of mind, a wobbly state of mind in the past few weeks, where I haven't been as clear as I would like to be. I haven't had as much clarity in my life. I haven't had as much direction or clarity of mind as I would like to have and as I have had before. And so I was just wondering what I'm going through. And the reason I'm making today's video is because, well, first of all, I missed you guys. But second of all, I believe what I'm going to share with you today was the main key that helped bring me out of the state of being and the state of mind that I was dwelling at. So for a while, for the past few weeks, and honestly, months, I'd say since January, really, I've been just in this weird state of mind, and I've been wondering why I have gotten in that state of mind, or I had gotten in that state of mind, and I finally figured out the answer. And it's so obvious now in hindsight, but in the meantime, when you're going through it, whatever it may be for you, whether it's depression, it's just anxiety, confusion, whatever it may be, when you're going through it, in that season, the answer may be so unclear, but afterwards, when the answer is revealed to you as to why you are in that state of mind, then it seems so obvious, right? And so the answer that we're going to talk about today may seem so obvious, but to me, it wasn't obvious when I was going through it. But the reason I was going through what I was going through, and the reason I was so confused in my mind for a while there, was because I was making things way too complicated. I have a tendency to make things way too complicated, and I know a lot of us have a tendency to make things complicated. So for me, keeping it simple, as I'm going to share with you today, the mantra keep it simple, the mindset keep it simple, was the main key or the main ingredient to help me get me or bring me out of that state of mind that I was in and I couldn't get myself out of. So keep it simple is really a way of life for me now at this moment. It's something that I practice every day. I say it to myself all the time, and it helps remind me of what I'm trying to do, what I am trying to do, and what I'm trying not to do, right? I'm trying to not overcomplicate, and instead I'm trying to keep it simple. So a lot of us may overthink, may think too much, and get ourselves all tied up in knots. It's kind of like if you're messing with the strings of your headphone, like the old, Apple headphones, the wired ones. Like if you're messing with it and you keep messing with it and you just keep entangling it more and more and more tangled, instead of getting it more opened up and untied, you're just getting it more tangled. And sometimes we do that with our minds, or I know at least I do that with my mind, where I'll be dwelling. A good word for it is something I heard in an audiobook on the Enneagram, which, if you are interested in the Enneagram, and Enneagram is something also that has helped me with this topic, but that's a whole different story. I'll put that book up here just for your reference. But this audio program, the gentleman who made it, he was talking about how type 9s, which is my Enneagram type, they do this thing called ruminating. And ruminating is basically like chewing on your thought. And he was talking about in the context of thoughts, is chewing on your thoughts over and over and over again. A friend of mine, my girlfriend's brother, actually once told me, dude, why do you always make everything so complicated or so complex, or try to make it so like mystical or so overly meaningful? Like, for example, like instead of just letting something be as it is, I would try to make it like more complex, more meaningful, more deep, like let's say like a bird flies by and I'm just like, well, the meaning is this, and the symbolism, it's like, it doesn't have to be like that, It doesn't have to be so complicated. You can just keep it simple. So friends of mine who are naturally good at keeping things simple. They're actually really grounding influence for me. They help me not be too much in my head and be not ruminating so much. I'm more grounded in my body, in the present moment, and relaxed and keep it simple. So anyways, I have a tendency to ruminate on my thoughts and keep getting myself tangled up in those knots and in thoughts, really, by keeping replaying certain patterns of thoughts, certain thoughts, and just making things more complicated than they need to be. I don't really know how else to explain it, and to a certain extent I'm still going through it, so I'm still not fully out of it, don't fully have the gift of hindsight. But what I know for sure is that I was overcomplicating things way too much, and I have a tendency to do that all the time. And my mom tells me, and has told me many times in the past, that if I just learn to live more from my heart, 99% of my problems will be solved, because I am too much in my head. I can be too stuck in my head and be overthinking stuff so much, and thinking too much and making things way more complicated than they need to be. So just letting things be has been a gift for me recently, of just letting things be as they are, keeping it simple. So now I'll just talk about what keeping it simple looks like for me, and what mindset it can be for you, in terms of how you can implement it in your life, how you can implement the mindset of keeping it simple, as I have been, and as I want to encourage you to do if you are the type that would ruminate and overthink a lot. So keep it simple. The way I see it and the way I use it is this. Tim Ferriss actually has this great quote that he shared on his podcast one time, and it was this: if this was simple, what would it look like? And he was basically sharing that for a lot of people who are like type A's, very like overthinking, overanalyzing, perfectionists, or just overly like caught up in their mind. Those types of people, if you're one of them, I certainly am like that. I tend to be stuck in my head sometimes. For those types of people, this quote that he shared, which is a reminder for himself, but he was sharing it on the podcast for others as well. It was this. It's, if this was simple, what would that look like, right? So if this situation that I'm facing right now was simple, what would it look like? So he was sharing that more in the context of business, right? Like if you're facing a business problem, if this problem, meaning that if the solution was simple, if approaching it was simple, if this was simple, what would that look like? Or if this, basically like, instead of trying to overanalyze and overthink how to approach it, if this was simple, what would that look like, right? Like for Elon Musk, he wants to, go to Mars, right? Like he wants to create intergalactic way of being for humans, right? If this was simple, what would that look like? Even though that's a super complicated, extremely complex task, like probably no other more complex tasks are there. Every time someone wants to jokingly say something is complicated, they say it's rocket science, right? That's literally rocket science. So in that case, if this was simple, what would that look like? Build a rocket and go to Mars, right? Like that's like the most simple explanation of what he wants to do, right? So in that case, keeping it simple would look like that. But in other cases, in situations we encounter in our own lives, keeping it simple would look differently, right? For me, the way I've been using it, and I try to use this anytime that I feel like I'm losing a grip on reality, that I'm getting too complicated, too stuck in my head, making things way too complex, and I'm losing my footing, losing my grounding, what I try to say to myself is, if this moment was simple, what would I do right now? And oftentimes the answers are very simple. I would take a deep breath. I would be more present. I would be more grounded. I would just be with what is in this moment, not try to change it. If I am sending a text message and I'm like way overly overthinking what to say, I just say, hey, if this was simple, what would that look like? And I'll say that. If I'm sending an email, well, if this was simple, what would I do, right? If I'm editing a video, if this was simple, what would I do right now? And that has helped me so much. And I know it's so simple, like making a video about it was like, should I even do that? Because it's so like obvious seemingly. But to me, I found that the best videos for me are ones that are helpful for me and helpful for you. And when those two meet, it's like the perfect yin and yang. It's kind of like when I was a DJ, I used to love when I would play music that was enjoyable for me, but enjoyable for the audience too. There were times where I would play a song that was only enjoyable for the audience, but not enjoyable for me, but it was a request that they had. And there were other times that I would play something that was enjoyable for me, but not enjoyable for them. But the magic really happened when those two met, right? What's enjoyable for me, what's helpful for me, and what's helpful for you as well, what's enjoyable for them. And so in this case, this is a topic that was helpful for me, and my hope is that it'll also be helpful for you. And that's why I decided ultimately to make the video about it, because I do believe just thinking that, just the mindset of if this was simple, what would that look like, could be so beneficial, especially if you are the type of person who tends to overthink like I am and like I do all the time. So again, going back to how keep it simple as a mindset has been implemented in my life is anytime I'm facing anything, right? This video, shooting this video right now, if this was simple, what would that look like? If this was simple, if I was trying to explain this simply, what would I say, right? What would I talk about? And it's purely just that. It's just keeping it simple no matter what you're doing. So with that thing that you're doing, keep it simple. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Don't try to overanalyze it. Don't try to get too much in your head. Be more in the moment, in the present moment. Whatever is in front of you, keep it simple with that. So what is in front of me right now is this video, is this camera. I'm shooting this video. So I'm going to keep it simple with that. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to say what's on my mind and what's my kind of agenda and topics of discussion for this video. And that's just that. I'm not going to overthink too much about what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, because sometimes you guys don't see the behind the scenes of my videos, but I can get so in my head over simple sentences that it's almost like I forget how to even talk or be a human being. But I've realized more and more as I've done more videos that like the most enjoyable ones for myself to watch are the ones that I'm like the most human and just talking to you like a friend versus trying to be like this teacher and sharing like the most wise, things to say and stuff like that. It doesn't resonate with me, and it probably doesn't resonate with you either. But basically trying to be more human, making this video, it's something, like I said, that's been helpful for me. I hope it's helpful for you. I hope that it tremendously is beneficial for you and adds massive value to your life. And like I said, I want to build kind of a library of videos on my page that are helpful for me and that I hope are helpful for you. And just having a thumbnail on my YouTube channel of a video that says keep it simple, just that in a thumbnail, like if I see that for myself, that will be just so helpful. Such a good reminder for me, right? So my goal now every day is to just keep it simple. And that's like such an oxymoron. My goal is to keep it simple. It's like having a goal is kind of like making it complicated, but it's like my goal literally every day is to just keep things simple. And that has been helping my mental health so much. And I'm sure a lot of us, we tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to make the moment be so much more complicated than it is. But really in this moment, things are simple, right? In the moment that you are, things are simple. There are very few moments in life that I would think are very complicated, like, that are very intense, complex things are happening. Most moments, if we are present, they are very simple. It's the sensations, it's what's going on, it's what is here and now. And right now, it's just, for me, what is this camera, I'm talking to you. And with that, I just wanted to kind of bring the video to the conclusion. Keep it simple. The video was just that. I wasn't even sure if the video is going to be past like 10 minutes. It's been, about 20 minutes now, I believe. But yeah, it's just that. It's just the idea of keep it simple. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze. Don't overcomplicate. Be in the moment. Keep it simple. Be with what is, whatever that is, and keep it simple with that. If it's listening, if you're listening to someone, keep it simple with that. Don't be in your head thinking about, what you're going to say, how you're being perceived. No, keep it simple. Okay, this person's talking. I'm just going to listen. Oh, I'm sending a text message. I'm just going to keep it simple with that. Oh, I'm shooting a video. I'm just going to keep it simple with that. And I am talking about this topic of keep it simple. So I'm going to keep it simple with that and wrap up the video with just what I've shared so far. and hope that it's helpful for you. If it is, please let me know. Let me know what type of a person you think you are, in terms of are you the overthinking type, or are you the more go with the flow, easygoing, which I think I personally am both in different situations, but mainly in different seasons of life, right? In certain seasons, I can be very much in my head, and in some seasons, I can be very much go with the flow. And my astrology sign is the Libra. It's the balance, it's the scale. And I feel like for a lot of my life, the scale and the yin yang has always been kind of like my challenge and my goal at the same time, to want to achieve that balance and that harmony, because I can get very much to this side and then very much to this side, but constantly aiming to come more and more in the center and live from there. And this keeping a simple path for me is that way. It helps me be balanced, not overcomplicate things, not overthink things, and just be in the moment and have a simpler life. I found that success to me, what it feels like, is actually simplicity. The times that my life has been the most complicated, I never felt successful. Or I always said, if this is what success is, I don't want it, right? Like, I don't want my version of success to look like this. But the times that I've been able to be more simple, live life simply, be present, enjoy the moment, be human, as weird as that sounds, but like I tend to get overly mystical sometimes, overly like airy-fairy. And I like what Gary Vee says, one of my favorite, business coach teachers / mentors that I've had for like years. But he always talks about the clouds and the dirt. He's like, the dirt, in his terminology, the dirt is like the practical, and the clouds is like the high level abstract thinking ideas. And what he always wants to do is like live in both, right? Like have the abstract ideas and the understandings, but also know like when to be grounded in the practical. And I love that analogy. And I tend to go too much in the clouds, be like a balloon that just floats up, but I'm trying to have an anchor, like a ship, have an anchor into the ground and stay steady into the ground, be a human being, not be overly mystical, prematurely enlightened and stuff like that. So anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I was trying to relate more this time, and going forward, more just as a friend. I just show up here as a friend to you and just share what I have learned in hopes that they are helpful for you as well as they have been for me. And so with that, I hope that this video was helpful for you. This topic was helpful for you. And like I said, just share with me what type of a person you are, if you're overthinking type, if you're the more chill type, and so that I kind of get more of a feel for my audience based on the videos that I've made in the past, to see kind of what type of people they have attracted and gathered as my community here on YouTube, and so that I can get a better feel of what topics may resonate more for you. So anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos like this on your homepage in YouTube. And with that, thank you. Like I said, I hope that this helps you in any way. Thanks again. My name is PJ, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.